What's up out there, horror fam? Big Steve here with Mitchell, and have we got another podcast for you tonight, baby, because we're going to talk about A24 films and whether or not those bad boys are overrated. And I think I almost know where this is going to go, how it's going to play out, Mitchell. What do you think, dude?
I think you're too damn presumptive about the whole
I
thing,
think
man.
I don't want to hear it, Briggs. We
If
know.
anything, A24 is underrated, man.
Oh
Like,
my
number
god,
one
like,
horror film on Reddit isn't enough.
oh my god, Breeze. I thought we talked about you getting drunk before you got on here, man. Jeez.
Do it more often, right?
There you go. Hell yeah. What's up, Billy Judd? Dragon Blues, baby. In the chat already, Briggsy. So, now I did want to start this off by saying, thank you to the newest members of the channel. We have Patty, Saved by Grace, Everything Horror Collector, and James Grant. And I wanted to say that, Briggs, and inform people that if we get, I think it's 2 or 3 more members, we get access to new emojis.
Oh,
Yeah, YouTube requires a certain amount of members to unlock new emoji slots that I can upload and give people access. Right now we have like Reagan, Michael Myers, Freddy, Chucky. So,
any hints as to what the new ones may be if we get those
oh,
paid
who
subscribers?
knows, Briggs? They may float. They
Are you
may.
talking like a sentinel sphere?
There may be a sentinel sphere, boy. There may be, let's see, Briggs, such sights to show you. Who knows, baby? But yeah, so if a couple more people want to become members tonight, like good old Dragon Blues and JK, they might unlock some new emojis.
Just remember, we're all horror fam here. In this chat room tonight, you are all my children.
Now, yeah, I like it, Briggs. But tonight, we're talking about A24, man. And I know that you have went through some of their catalog of films recently, Briggs. I know I have, just to get a little more caught up on things, as it were.
Right.
So man, like, I guess we can talk about each movie individually, and try to keep it to horror. But then we can talk about A24 as a whole, because there's definitely some blanket statements that could be made about A24, I think.
Well, one thing you want to draw a distinction between is when you make those blanket statements about A24, are you talking primarily about the films that they themselves produce? Because that does pretty much limit you to 5 movies.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I probably wouldn't even say, I don't know. I don't know. Well, because I've seen like some things that have been pretty true across the board for me with them. And so which A24 films, we're talking, primarily horror wise, have you seen that you like? Okay, so I know you like most of their catalog. Which ones don't you like?
I think the least impressive, all in all, thus far, out of their horror offerings has been Saint Maud. And it really does, it's because it checks a lot of the boxes that I think A24 films tend to fall into over and over again, being more melancholy than frightening, um, having kind of a similar ending to what you'd expect from an A24 film. Um, it just kind of like fits the mold, and while, people tend to associate A24 with being outside the formula, it's almost like some of these films within under the same banner uh, are starting to fall into their own formula.
Well, yeah, man. I definitely think that now A24. I will say that I'm glad that they're doing their own thing. I mean, you're not seeing sequels out the ass. You're not seeing remakes all over the place. That's cool because at least they're trying to give us something original. But I will say that they definitely have a formula, and they're certainly pretentious. I will say that. But as for me, man, I'm gonna have to go with The Lighthouse. I think The Lighthouse. You know, I haven't seen Midsummer yet, unfortunately, or else I think that might take it. But The Lighthouse for me, Briggs, was so boring. It was definitely a cure for insomnia, man.
I don't know. What I liked about the Lighthouse, I enjoyed the claustrophobic angle, the fact that we just do have two characters like stewing beside one another throughout the entire film. It's a real slow burn, but I do like what it has to offer through most of the film. I do think the ending could have been a little more unique. Like,
Well, to give people an idea here, so The Lighthouse is a film that follows two lighthouse keepers. I guess that's what they're called. Uh,
right, a more wizened one and another one who's newer to the job.
and,
He's being shown the ropes by the older one.
and it's basically a story of cabin fever, or at least that's the way I took it. And yes, you know, you get, they do get angry with each other and stuff like that, man. But to give you an, I mean, so that's pretty much the thing. Like there's just tension between these two guys. It is very slow. It is shot in 4:3 aspect ratio, and it's shot in black and white, starring Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe. And Willem Dafoe is like the only cool thing the only good thing this movie has going for it in my book, because man, it's just, you combine all that shit. I mean, it's a black and white film in 4:3 and a slow burn. How the hell can you not sit there and fall asleep?
Oh
And
my
two
god,
characters,
dude.
and you only get two characters unless you count the mermaid that Robert Pattinson has sex with. Yes, people, Robert Pattinson. That's how pretentious this film is. You get
And
Robert Pattinson having sex with a mermaid, and it's supposed to mean something.
it's supposed to mean that the dude is lonely and sick of the company of an old, eccentric man.
But it's still, man. I mean, that the cabin fever story has been done so much better.
Oh, it's been done in different ways, but I do like how the White House. What I really enjoyed about it is that it didn't try and bring in some kind of creepy third element, other than like, say, the mermaid story, something like that. But that, of course, exists within Pattinson's mind. Um,
Yeah.
I like that it was just the two of them playing off each other, and the horror really just came from the fact their ride home just kept on being further and further delayed, and Pattinson just kept on becoming more and more obsessed with his role and of the White House itself. I There's something to that I mean, it's not the best cabin fever plot I've ever witnessed, but it's its own beast, and I think it was well executed.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's got to be a story for me to, for me to sit down and listen to your story. You got to tell me a story, and The Lighthouse didn't give me that.
I do understand that criticism, and that is something I definitely think is a valid complaint against. You can make a lot against a lot of A24 films. It's that they're so focused on kind of building the mood. It's like the actual plot doesn't engross you as much, and they kind of almost neglect like bringing in that third act plot hook.
Yeah, well, that's one of the blanket statements that I was going to make later about A24. They're very story light to me. I mean, man, you can, from The Lighthouse. Now, let me tell you something. I could set up my iPhone, which can shoot in 4K, 60 frames per second, all this, whatever. I mean, it's going to dazzle you, in a room with people for a couple months. And then that's going to be your cabin fever story. I mean, these
And
dudes
that
give me.
being distinct and totally different from what the White House was. Like the White House was kind of trying to emulate the style of the 1940s films, and you're talking about making something more along the lines of 90s, early 2000s, like proto found footage.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though, man. I mean, we don't need that to be. They don't have a story, and they tried to use gimmicks to draw people. Oh my God, it's in 4:3 aspect ratio. I haven't, Oh my God, it's in black and white. It's like, dude, you're not American History X, brother. You're not that good.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah,
Like
so
they do lean a lot on their style, I think. Like
yeah,
that's a plus and a minus.
yeah, agreed. So so you're going with Saint Maud for worst. I'm going with Lighthouse.
It'd be Saint Maud, the monster, and then the first one they ever actually produced, It Comes at Night.
Yeah, It
And
Comes at Night was, I haven't seen that since it came out. The Lighthouse I've seen more recently, but I do remember It Comes at Night really, really being bad.
I could definitely see why you say that. Like, it's kind of sitting there at dead average for me, but I remember your biggest criticism, or the one you gave most voice to when you told me about the film, Nothing Comes at Night. And I think it was a very
Uh,
mistitled film. Because when
yeah.
I look up the actual explanation for what the title's supposed to mean, it's anxiety. Apparently, anxiety
Oh,
comes at
shit.
night.
Oh,
No,
my
what the
goodness.
fuck? Anxiety, it comes to a head in the daytime. What the hell?
Very, very possible, man. I mean, anxiety can come at any time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't come necessarily at night. I mean, fuck, dude. A lot of people wake up with anxiety, man, because they're starving hungry. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Which leads to anxiety, or can. But yeah, man, that was my big thing. I remember calling you up and being like, "Guess what comes at night, Briggs? Fucking nothing."
It's because that happens to be where Travis finds his sick dog is at night. I mean, it could have just as well shown up at the daytime.
Yeah, and then it wasn't like a story on what the hell what was it? Was it like a disease? Was it? I mean, what?
The best explanation we can really discern from that's concrete is it's a disease, and what's stalking them is probably some kind of infected animal or being,
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
never see what it is.
yeah, man. What a terrible ass movie. I remember thinking that. And Nate, man, hey, uh, glad you're in the chat, dude. Billy Judd, hell yeah, have fun with The Witch. It's a good one. Michael Paul, glad to see you in here. And I totally agree with you, Daughter of Death. Anxiety can strike anytime, anywhere, any place. And yeah, how silly of them, man. But that sounds like a typical, you know, A24
That,
thing to do.
that's where the pretense really comes in for me.
Yeah, man, so pretentious, dude. But, speaking of that, though, man, my favorite of theirs would either have to be The Green Room, which isn't technically a horror film, but hey, we're talking about A24.
It's borderline.
It is borderline, and this one, just in case none of you have seen it, it follows a band, literally, a band of people that are traveling around, playing music in at like little house shows and stuff like this. They meet up with this guy for an interview, and you get it that these guys are having to rough it. I mean, they're even having to siphon gas to be able to get from place to place in their van. And, they meet up with this dude for an interview who is supposed to have a gig lined up for him. And it's at like a diner or something like that. But they end up getting pissed off at this guy, like, dude, what, the hell's going on here, man? We need to make some money to be able to survive and play our music. Well, he sets them up with this gig that they go to, guaranteed to make some good money. They have no idea until they get there, Briggs, but it's what is like a neo-Nazi rally
Hmm.
party inside
Oh,
of like a
it's
bar.
yeah, it's a
And
Nazi bar, I
it's a
guess.
Nazi bar, whatever the hell you want to call it, man. And they end up playing for these dudes, and at the end of their set, they witness a murder by one of the higher ups at this location, and basically the movie becomes a survival horror movie, really.
Hmm.
You know, the
As first, it's the generic thugs trying to pull them out of there and execute them, and then they bring in the true believers,
yeah,
and that's when things start getting hectic.
yeah, man, the red shoelaces people. They send them in to do the ultra dirty work because apparently if you have red shoelaces, then you've paid your dues or killed somebody or something like that. So,
Would you consider Green Room like what percentage would you consider it horror versus thriller?
oh shit, man.
Because it's, I think, in terms of actual scare factor, it's one of A24's best. Like, it's one of the ones that had me most on the edge of my seat, man.
Dude, yeah, absolutely because at first at first you're like, "Oh my god, WTF. What the hell is going on these people?" And you can easily, very easily put yourself in the situation of these people. It's like, "What the hell would you do?" You
Hmm.
know, how the hell are you going to get out of here? What kind of bullshit are you going to try to pull off? But man, then it goes straight into, like I said, survival mode and chaos, hectic. I mean, these people are having to fight for their lives by the end of. At first they're trying to trick them.
Hmm.
Guys, if we've called the cops, don't worry, we got everything under control. And then they're coming in with machetes, trying to mess these people up. Man, it. Yeah, dude, I could see people arguing it's either horror or action, I guess. An action thriller. I mean, but yeah, I could see it argued as being horror too.
Hmm.
Where would you put it? Would you put it on the horror spectrum or action or
I would go, like, what's key to me in discerning a horror film from a thriller? Does the monster have a rational motive?
mm-hmm.
Um, And these guys, they're not killing these kids for fun. They're not killing it out of their ideology per se. They're trying to kill these kids to cover up another crime that was committed in a heat of passion.
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, they're not going to let these kids go, so that is intense. There's no way for them to get out of that. But at the same time, if the cops came and the kid just got away, like, they're not going to go and hunt those kids down. And I think that's kind of where you draw the line between a horror film and the thriller film. Is it personal? Are they driven by their bloodlust, or are they driven by something more worldly?
Okay.
But then at the same time, another distinction is I tend to draw is are the protagonists how able are they to leave the situation? And
Yeah.
in this case, like it's verges more on horror in that aspect because the protagonists they can't leave. Like by the time they realize what's happening, they've got no choice. They are being targeted now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Like I said, I can see the argument either way, man. It has some great gore in it, insane human emotions. I mean, it really puts you through the ringer, and it's probably oddly enough, Briggs. I would say that out of the ones I've seen, The Green Room is the least A24 film I've seen out of
Have you
all of
seen
them.
Life After Beth?
I have not. I actually want to.
You absolutely, if you want to see the least A24 film that they've made, you need to give Life After Beth a watch. It's
Ah,
basically the comedic version of Death Dream,
oh
but
my
rather than
goodness.
returning veteran, it's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, jeez.
as it were.
Oh,
I, I
man.
and I thought I'd seen it a lot earlier, but I just watched it this past week. I'd gotten it confused with Burying the X. But
Mm.
Life After Beth, it's like 100% better than Burying the X. Like,
Wow. Okay, and I liked and speaking of which, Bearing the X has a dude from the green room in it. So, but I liked Burying the X. So, did you?
I thought it was watchable. Like, I can't say much more about it than that. But
Damn. Okay. I thought it was fun.
Life After Beth, it's both very fun and very emotional. Like,
Uh,
give it a watch. Like, it never lets one feeling, like, totally overpower the other. Like, it never gets super goofy and it never gets up its own ass either.
oh, okay. I got you. Doesn't so it doesn't like Bearing the X is just goofy from start to finish, really. So Life After Beth is more A24 like. A
No, I wouldn't go that far. Like,
little more serious, we'll say.
it's more dramedy.
Yeah, okay. But man, like now, like I said, like there would be The Green Room and then another film I like a lot, and you can probably guess what it is.
Oh, you saw X?
I did see X. It's not that.
All
No.
right, what is it then?
The Witch.
Ah,
Yeah. Which is definitely, you can tell just by looking at it, an A24 film, but you know,
not actually one they produced though. They just distributed it.
yeah. But, if people aren't familiar with that, it's basically a family back in like what, the 1600s?
Something like that.
Something like that, who are, ousted by the settlement, and they're forced to go live on their own without the aid of the settlement or the people there, and they kind of make their own farm out in the middle of the woods, stuff like that. They have their own little clearing. Think of some shit like Little House on the Prairie, but a witch is within those woods, Briggs, and you pretty much realize quickly that this family is going to be plagued by misfortune, man, because in the first, 15 minutes, the young girl who's, taking care of this baby for her mother, her younger brother, whatever, comes up missing. So you get the feeling pretty soon, but also a problem I will say with The Witch, man, and I think this is a problem with A24 in general sometimes, man. Sometimes the music is really overbearing. It's like there's no damn suspense or build up to that music. It's like, nah, motherfucker, this is a horror movie right off the bat. Like, it may as well be the damn Omen soundtrack, you know what I'm saying? Like, in that final scene, where shit's just going off the rails. Like, they're not very ambiguous with that music, Briggs.
No, and that's why The Witch didn't impress me that much. Like, it's not just the music that I felt wasn't ambiguous. I, for a film that wasn't actually produced by A24, I feel it definitely falls into that uh, common criticism of leaning more on the atmosphere than of actually creating a suspense piece. I The closest thing we would have to like really building tension in the film is that scene where the young boy's going up to the witch's cabin and it's just her walking in the door and it's him approaching the cabin and the next shot he gets grabbed.
Mm.
So I do like the images in the film. I did like the atmosphere a whole lot. I wasn't a huge fan of the color grade myself. I don't really like the desaturated looks, and The Witch was
Mm.
basically from beginning to end. It was like that.
Yeah. Well, see, man, I actually liked that scene where he goes up to the cabin and encounters the witch, because it's like they show this this witch, and like they're haggard, old. You know, think of like almost like the old lady in The Shining in the bathtub.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they look like typically, but like this boy is coming of age, and like he's even sneaked some peeks at his older sister, you know, a couple times in the movie before he encounters the witch, man. And the witch, you know, when he encounters her, she's like this attractive, busty woman out, you know, out in front of like this decrepit dwelling, and entices him in that way. And I will say, man, that the actor who played that kid is absolutely phenomenal, because like you can see it on his face at the time. It's like he knows this is wrong. He knows he should not be doing this. He knows he should not be enticed, but he can't help it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he goes right into them boobies, Briggs. And it's game over for him, man. But that leads to, you know, the crazy scene where he's just writhing around on the ground when he finally makes it back to his parents' home. And man, the acting on that kid, dude.
The performances in the Vivitch were definitely strong throughout.
Yeah. So yes, Billy Judd. His name's Caleb, and you know, and J.K. says, you know, frankly, I just found it boring. I could see that argument. That's an argument you could, like, that could be a blanket statement against any A24 film almost. But I actually liked it. It drew me in, and it has more action than some of their other films. But man, you know, I just got sucked into the, you know, how the feeling of dread in that, man, is must be exactly what young Thomason feels throughout the movie. You know, because her family, I mean, you know, misfortune has befallen them. And not only that, man, but it's like, to get out of this hole, we're going to have to take her to town and pray someone will buy her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her own family's going to sell her off. She gets blamed for everything and didn't do any of it. You know, I like the witch, but you know, Briggs, I could see arguments against it. The only problem I had with it, like I said, was the music. Like, it doesn't leave anything to imaginate. Like, yeah, motherfucker, there's some bad stuff in these woods, and it ain't going to end well for this family. I mean, and the music is almost jarring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, so the family all piles up into the back of their wagon. And they're leaving the settlement, and like Thomason or whatever is just staring at the woods, and then all of a sudden you get that, like, it's not like some droning, you know, like peaceful, almost serene music, but when something's just not quite right. No, it's that full on like what the fuck? like, oh, okay, so we're going that route with the music, like.
It's scary, trust me.
And yeah, Dragon Blues, I'm with you. You know, the look on young Caleb's face just screams that he knows he's going to die. And you know, one of the lies that he tells earlier in the film, you know, because the father takes him out, they have to hunt their food if they can't find it. And he's like, you know, don't tell your mother that we're doing this. Well, when Caleb is possessed or whatever, fighting off whatever the witch has done to him, this curse or whatever, his jaw locks up at one point, and his parents are trying their damnedest to break it open, and when they do, an apple pours out of his mouth, and it's like, oh man, that's so dark, dude. Because he tells the mom, you know, that they went looking for an apple tree. You know, he thought he had seen an apple tree in the village or whatever, and they went to go look for it to see if they could get some apples, man. And so I like the witch, man, but I can see your point too, Briggs. You know, I thought it had great atmosphere, but I know you, like, one of your pet peeves, like mine is the dream sequences. I don't like those. One of Briggs, ladies and gentlemen, is collar grading. He fucking hates that blue Underworld or Twilight collar grading. Like, he despises it.
with a passion. Like, that makes me feel like I'm watching a movie through a filter, and it reminds me that I'm just watching a movie, man.
Yeah. I feel you, man. Hey, yeah, welcome to the chat, Divine J. First time seeing you in here, brother, man. Hit that subscribe button, baby. Become part of the horror fam.
Welcome, Divine J. I
Hell
hope you're
yeah.
enjoying the convo so far.
But Briggs, man, I know. Okay, so here's one I'm going to get into before I get into X. Because now we've both seen it. I've heard rave reviews from you. But Briggs is a huge fan of Brian Bertino. And man, I was too. I love The Strangers.
It
But
was for one film.
yeah, I do. So, man, you saw The Monster, I think is his film he did for A24.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you didn't like it. I won't even watch it. I'm just not interested. Like, Brian Bertino has lost me, and A24 is whatever. But man, tell us your thoughts on The Monster and how it could lead a Brian Bertino fan to not like that movie.
Oh, for one thing, Steve, you did watch that shit with me. I remember, because that was the one
Oh,
where they were trapped in the car. And we
oh,
kept thinking it was
fuck
going to end
yeah!
up being, yeah, like
Oh
a
my god!
dream sequence or something at the end, but it turned out, no, it was all real.
Oh my
Uh, the,
god!
the monster is, it's kind of like everything The Strangers wasn't, man. It doesn't make it like that memorable of a use of its setting. It doesn't have any really good suspense, any really good build up to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the plot, it's kind of similar, but at the same time, it doesn't. There's not a lot of subtlety to the monster. Like, we know when it starts attacking that it's either a dream or it's a beast.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question of its motives, and it's obviously not gonna. It doesn't use anything like tactics. It's like a wild animal.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's if you're asking how that could like turn someone off of Brian Bertino, it's because like for someone who established himself by doing kind of a basic premise with such great execution,
Mm-hmm.
to see that he's moved on to doing kind of a basic premise with basic execution when he's doing it under the banner of a studio who's like kind of famous for elevating their films stylistically,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a good sign that the dude, I guess, um, is really on an upwards curve.
Yeah. Is he still doing stuff? Is he still getting work? Or
He made The Dark and the Wicked. I don't know about it after that.
yeah, what did have you seen that or?
I saw it. It's worse than The Monster Man, but I see a
Oh,
good film in it. Like, and I am actually, I've been working on a project, and I'm actually trying to recut the film to try and bring that out. Just out of sheer curiosity and out of admiration for Bertino's first two films.
yeah. So you're talking about The Strangers and what was it, Mockingbird?
Yeah, I'm the one person on Earth that just adored Mockingbird.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. I like The Strangers, man, but Mockingbird is fucking out there for me. Like, that movie is hateable.
All
And man,
right, so you don't remember the monster, dude?
no, I do remember them being in a car and like it was like a mother and daughter.
And like the mother was super young when she had the daughter, I remember. So
Yeah,
it's almost like they're sisters.
yeah. So I mean, I should tell you something, dude. If I don't even remember the damn movie, watching the movie, I mean it. I do remember that. I do remember them being in a car and something supposedly being outside and tormenting them or whatever.
Mhm.
But yeah, man. So Briggsy, I did watch X, and I want to hear Your thoughts on it, dude. Because I'm late to the party. I know you. I'm the one who was pumped for it. Because, I like Ty West and some of his movies, and I was pumped for it. Couldn't find the son of a bitch playing anywhere. And Briggs somehow lucked into it and saw it, and you liked it, you said.
I liked it a lot, dude. Like, it is the best slasher in recent memory, dude. Like, to me, X was a slasher with an original premise. It wasn't a ripoff of Freddy, Jason, or Michael Myers. It had a plot that you actually had to pay attention to because it wasn't your basic slasher plot. It almost kind of tricked you into believing it was going to go the basic route with kind of like the satyr killers against the debauchery of the youth, but in the end, like the old killers were the perverts, and it made them scarier. Like for it, that they were driven by that kind of like primal instinct rather than some like overdone like moralizing motive.
Yeah.
I loved the suspense pieces. I thought the set, the house was wonderful. Characters were likable. I thought they weren't like the best characters in the world, but I didn't find
Yeah.
myself annoyed by them. And I did enjoy that you couldn't tell for sure who was going to live and who was going to die. You didn't know if our main character was going to fall into the trap of, the typical slasher victim failings, like she was a druggie, she did have sex as a career, or she was going to turn the tables and it go a different direction.
Yeah.
And I liked suspense pieces, like I liked the scene where I forget the name, but the other actress in this porn film that they're making at this farmhouse, I liked the scene with her and the old woman at the docks, at the pier. I liked the scene with the old man and Kid Cudi stalking through the swamp. I don't know, man. It was just really creepy. It had a good build-up. It didn't play its hand too quick. And it's after Life After Beth in terms of films that do not feel like A24 films to me. Like, it felt like an old school, like, enjoyable slasher.
Yeah. Okay. So this will probably surprise you, dude. But it was mediocre for me, man. And that sucks, because you know how pumped up I was for it, dude. But, man, it was almost like a film that, once again, the music was off for me, like the score. But to me, man, it was a film that had no idea what the fuck it wanted to be.
It was its own beast, Bo. It wasn't trying to be like anything else. I guess you could say it was trying to be a slasher, but...
Well, so it starts off with really comedic elements.
Like what?
Oh, I mean, they're shooting a porno, man, and they're joking around, and...
That's what people do with one another.
Well, I'm saying, man, it clearly had comedic elements. Like, you did not pick up on the comedy whatsoever?
I picked up on, like, the characters being funny with one another.
Yeah, and it played into the movie. I mean, dude, there were comedic elements throughout it, and they're shooting a porno. Like, dude, if you shoot it from this upwards angle, it will look like you're using your cock to fill up the van.
I mean that. It was funny banter.
Well, I'm not saying that it was. I'm saying, this is part of my point though. Like, it had comedic elements, so it was comedic, and then they went super dark with it. And then they went horror with it. So it was like a mishmash of these things, and it didn't feel like it knew what it wanted to be. It was disjointed.
I didn't get any of that from the film. I thought it all blended together real well. Like, from...
Oh, no, dude. It was totally jarring, man. That's the way I took it. It was really jarring, and like took you out of the moment and put you into another.
there was little things like I could see having gripes with like characters supposedly from the 1970s calling each other man whore and talking about the MacGuffin in the Alfred Hitchcock film, but I it's like 30-second scenes that kind of like brought me out of it for a second. Oh my god, yeah, they're trying too hard. The
Yeah.
rest of the film, man, like I was engrossed. Like it had great cinematography. Like it had a wonderful color grade. Like I thought.
Well, okay, so for people who don't know, X is about a group of young people who want to make their own adult film to take advantage of the boom of the home video market. And they end up renting a, what is it, Briggs, like a cottage or some shit that like is owned by this farmer and his wife, and they're going to shoot their film there. But the thing is, the farmer and his wife are at first you believe to be prudes, and they're like, don't disturb us while you do this whatsoever. Like, don't, like, we don't even want to know your ass is here. We don't like you being here. We don't like you. Give us our money. Mind your own damn business. Go do whatever the hell you're going to do. So, I mean, that's the premise of the movie, and then people start dying. But, yeah, man. So the thing with me with X, man, is that it went, okay, so you have comedic elements. Like, they're shooting the porno, which is hilarious. And I will agree with you on the cinematography. I thought it had great cinematography in moments. They did reuse shots, which I felt were lazy at times. They had one that I actually referred to as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre shot. From inside the house but along the stairway.
Oh yeah, and the hell damn dead armadillo when we were panning across the side of the road from the low angle.
Yeah, there you go.
That was annoying. I don't know why he would have done that. Like, ate the throwback angle so hard, but
yeah,
I can forgive like 2 fucking shots in like a 2-hour long film.
But the editing choice of going, when they would show what they were shooting in the porno, they would go with the 4:3 aspect ratio, and that looked pretty cool, and it was hilarious. Like, I thought the porno stuff was really funny. They were shooting a film called The Farmer's Daughters. That was hilarious, man. I really liked that. But dude, then it went to, like, they started tackling some really dark stuff, like, that could have been emotionally impactful. Like the old lady who just doesn't have it anymore. She's old. Her husband isn't giving it to her anymore. And she used to be a dancer and beautiful and all this. And she's really sad. Which could have been like, that could have been really impactful. They could have really went with that. And it would have been great, I thought. But instead... And they get really dark with, so the cameraman, his girlfriend is the boom operator. That's all she is. She is not meant to be an actress. Well, she decides she wants to do a scene in the porno movie they're shooting, and it breaks this dude's heart. He starts crying in the damn shower, has a breakdown, decides he's going to leave and everything, which was really dark too.
She was the worst character for that shit. Come on, dude.
But
he was the one...
What? I mean, I'm just saying, like, it was dark, though, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was dark, was it not? Like...
Not really. Like, he was the one who was...
Dude, how the fuck can you say that?
About it. Like, he was the one,
man.
Don't be so a prude.
Well, there's a difference.
You want to be in the movie?
Dude, there is a difference between, okay, motherfucker, so the people who go and shoot wars in other countries, like, there's a difference between filming something and actively participating in the fucking killing of another human being. So, there is a difference in being like, don't be a prude, we are shooting a pornography film, like, this is business, and then being like, okay, I want to see you get fucked 3 ways from Sunday by some other dude. And then it's going to be mass distributed to to an audience on home video. Like, there's a difference between that, man. Like, there's a difference between watching something and actively participating in it, for sure. Or else you'd have to agree with Hollywood and all that bullshit when they were censoring movies in the late 90s, Briggs. Because horror fans were fucking bad. Don't be a prude, Briggs.
But
I'm saying,
I'm
man.
Prude here, dude.
Dude, it's the fucking truth. That is a dark moment. Like, he did not want his girlfriend participating in a porno. Like, he's wanting to be in a relationship with her, man, and she wants to be in a pornography film that he's shooting. Like, you're watching your girlfriend cheat on you in front. Like, how is that being a prude? How is being a cuck being a prude, man? He was like an unwilling cuck.
Because she's not trying to do it to cuck him, dude. She's trying to do it to show that she's willing to listen to her friends and expand her horizons, be a little more free.
That is the definition of a cuck, Briggs.
Well, maybe in his eyes it was.
No, it's the literal definition. It's the literal definition.
Screw everybody off.
It's the literal definition of a cuck, man. It is. So I'm just saying, like, that was a dark scene. Well, whether you fucking agree with it or not, the character had a goddamn mental breakdown on camera, and that's not dark to you? Like, because because you disagree with him, his life choices, he's no longer a human to you.
I disagree with him trying to take the van and screw over all the people he was working with because of the very thing that his girlfriend had decided to do of her own free will.
Well, man, taking the van and running off because your girlfriend just cheated on you is something he decided to do out of his own free will. It's his van.
I'm just saying it's a dick move. I'm not saying he wasn't allowed to do it.
Well, dude, he did. Well, but she didn't have this conversation with him before she decided that she wanted to be in a pornography film. So that's kind of a dick move.
It was the heat of the moment, man. I mean, if she
but think about this.
Decided to be a prude the rest of her life.
But here's my point. Think about it this way. So that was in the heat of the moment for her. She made a conscious decision to do something that directly affected him negatively. He expressed it. He had a mental breakdown because of her actions in the shower and went to leave. That is a dark scene in a movie. Like, no matter how you cut it. Like, he's crying in the shower, man. Like, so, and we're still in that darkness from the old lady who used to be a dancer.
The fact that they went from, like, not even that fucking goofy to, like, full darkness, that's a negative for you?
No, I'm not saying that. So they jumped from, and yes, it was blatantly goofy. Like, it totally was. They're shooting a porno scene called The Farmer's Daughter, and they're like, just all this. They're joking around. Like, yes, it was totally had total comedic elements.
What were they supposed to be shooting? Caligula?
I mean, I don't know, but I'm saying it's goofy. Like, I can't rewrite the script and re-edit the movie right here for them. That's the movie they chose to make, was something with comedic elements.
But it wasn't something that was supposed to be goofy out of universe. Like, it was supposed to be like average people making a porn film, and porn films happen to be campy.
Yeah, so, I mean, comedic elements, of course. Like, you can turn on any 70s porn film, it's going to be fucking funny. But this time you get to see people make it. So it's even funnier. Probably, because, I mean, you see, the guy who's, like, money hungry, like, well, you gotta do what you gotta do, sugar. And, you get... But, I mean, what I'm saying is, so it goes from goofy to being intensely dark. With
Brilliant.
with the old lady and the dude having the breakdown in the shower. Then it goes into straight-on slasher territory. With goofy. So it's like a film that they had no idea. They totally lost that darkness. They lost the comedic element for the darkness. Then they lost the darkness for the straight slasher element. It didn't know. It was too disjointed for me. Like, it didn't. They took people that had to be close to 100 years old and turned them into Jason Voorhees.
They did not turn them into Jason.
Yes, they did. She fucking literally killed somebody with a pitchfork, Briggs.
By stabbing it through the fucking holes while he was looking next to the.
Did Jason Voorhees use the pitchfork by part 2, Briggs?
It's not like she was like jabbing him through the neck and like lifting up and stabbing it through the other side.
This was a
wall.
This was 100-year-old woman.
It was not 100-year-old.
Yeah, she was. They were like yeah. Her husband fought in both wars, Briggs.
Yeah, and it was only 1979. So how old was he when he fought World War One? Like, was he already 31 years old when he enlisted in the army?
Dude, he's like 100 years old. Either way, 90s. Have you been around like people in there? They don't get around like that. But I'm saying, like, instead of using that darkness, you know, they could have done something totally different with that and utilized it properly, but instead they turned them into straight up slasher villains that we've seen 100 times. They did. I mean, dude, this is an 80-year-old woman at best. She cut the dude's fucking head off like Michael Myers.
With like
Rob Zombie's with like 100 stabs, just like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. When Michael Myers is grunting and killing the nurse. Like, that's how intense she got with it. And, you know, but then they so they went straight slasher with it and then threw back in some comedic elements, but all of that darkness was really gone.
Like, that, it's a slasher with a dark build-up to it. That's not a point against a slasher. That's a plus for a slasher having that dark build-up, I feel.
Not when you blatantly jump from one to another and you don't have a direction for your characters.
I could see if this was like them lopping people's heads off with axes, if this was like...
But they did.
Gutting them. No, they like...
But they did.
They got them.
No, she stabbed. This guy was looking at her face to face, and she stabs him in the throat with a knife. He falls down, and she
surprise attack that kills him.
And she literally she literally starts cutting his head off like Michael Myers in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Like, she is just stabbing him relentlessly over and over. And then we find out that they've been doing it before. Like, so this wasn't a one-off thing. Like, they have people chained up in their basement with their pants down, Briggs. Like, it was a movie that was very disjointed.
It's no more disjointed than your average second-tier slasher from the 80s, man.
It was just mediocre for me,
scenes.
Man. It is mediocre, but, you know, it's just... They could have done better with it. And goddamn, don't get me to mention that alligator kill where the woman front kicks the other one into the damn swamp. Like, and then you get an alligator that looks like I had my buddy pick up a fake one at Dollar General for a kill scene in a movie. Like, that alligator literally came into the scene like an airplane somebody's holding sideways.
And the alligator killed her. The old woman just had to push her in. Totally Jason Voorhees right there.
The old woman fucking front kicked her, man. Like, get out of here, dude.
The fucking pier, man.
Yeah, yeah, man, overrated. I'll say X is overrated because I think it's like a 6 something right now on IMDb. I'll give it a 5.
It's like an 8.5 to me, man. Like, it is.
Oh my god.
The best A24 film, in my opinion.
Holy shit. That's insane. But I guarantee you, everyone is wanting to know about Hereditary. I guarantee you that's the one that, like, that has to be the most popular A24 film.
Number 1 movie on Reddit.
I can't believe that shit, but... So, I mean, hell, do you want to... you know, I've seen Hereditary once.
So have I.
You know, hell, it's... Goddamn, Briggs, do you want to go over the synopsis? Because I don't...
Like,
hell, I don't.
Basic. It's I'm trying to remember what it is because, like I said, I've seen it once before as well.
Yeah.
It's about a family who's recovering from the recent death of an elder relative. Um, and while the mother or the matriarch of this family is going to group, she connects with this other individual, and they become close. And as they become close, the family is hit by another tragedy. This time, the young, um, disabled daughter of the family, she's taken to a party by the son, like in just a selfish move on his part. She
Mm-hmm.
eats something she's allergic to. He rushes her to the hospital, but the car sideswipes a pole, and she's decapitated. And from that point forward, the mother of the family begins to experience supernatural phenomenon, correlating with the intense grief that she's suffering from these two deaths of people incredibly close to her. Only over the course of the film, a plot's unraveled that implies that um, her mother's death was intentional, and the daughter's death was the next phase of the plan. I think Hereditary, it's a film that's got a great plot, actually. I don't remember all the intricacies to it. It's got great cinematography, real good editing,
Mm-hmm.
but altogether, like, it's one that I don't think is greater than the sum of its parts. Um, After the scene where the daughter actually dies, after the scene where she's decapitated, it feels like it's not even a slow burn. It's just kind of like a soak in like awful emotions for like the
Yeah.
next half an hour. And
Yeah.
then when it finally takes a turn to something more intense, it like in like 5 minutes it jumps from 0 to 100 and then it's basically over. And of
Yeah.
course it ends like every A24 film with a character staring into the camera and just silently emoting.
Briggs, I think motherfuckers need to give you applause in the chat for that synopsis because I could, like, that movie. I owe it a rewatch. I will say that. Like, I deserve to give it a rewatch because I think a PSA for people who are watching this right now, like, when you go into A24 films, for better or for worse, man, be the fuck awake. Like,
Thanks, JK.
yeah, thank you, JK. Take some goddamn diet pills, do whatever the fuck you gotta do. Because A24 films will put you the fuck to sleep. Like, even if it's a good one, they're so slow, they're gonna put your ass to sleep, typically. Like, it's a safe bet. Like, more often than not, they're slow. Like, even the green room starts off pretty damn, which gets hectic as fucking. So, but, like, the first 10, 15 minutes, you could probably say, man, this shit's slow. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, now, Hereditary, man, yes, it has great editing, great camera work, all that, but I owe it a rewatch. But, man, I just remember nothing fucking happening for like the entirety of that movie. Like, we get one death scene, and I know the big thing on Reddit, which oh, that is certainly not a pillar among the horror community by any means, but man, like their biggest like praise for that movie is, oh my god, dude, the acting of the and just the dread in her face. That's the fucking payoff after a 2 hour long movie? Really? Really?
It's another one where it's kind of like substitute just like turmoil for like suspense is a lost art and it's like something that A24 is good for atmosphere, like in terms of
Yeah.
actually
Oh, yeah.
building tension. Look elsewhere, unless you're watching X.
Yeah. Nah. You can. X is mediocre, but you might like it. Like, it kind of suffers from some of the things that I talked about in the slasher episode we did, and I think I'm like you with that, man. On that one you talked about, the Wicked whatever with Brian Bertino.
Hmm.
Like, I think some slight changes could have made that movie better for me. Like, they could have had a better film overall, I think.
I'd be interested to see what you think on a rewatch, man.
Man, it's like, I think they would have been better. Like, it would have been better suited if they kept that darkness up throughout the rest of the film and really, really gave it something instead of just going straight into slasher mode with it. And I think they could have been more clever, and it wouldn't have been as jarring when Grandma turns into Jason. I think they could have made it much more effective. Like, you have these fun-loving people who are doing this, and like that's kind of the point, right? Like, they're young, they still have their youth, and then you have these people, man, that are on their way out, and
Hmm.
this is what life, can lead to or does lead to, and it's like I think they could have played with that more and made it a different film and made it a little
I think
better for me, man.
the risk of that was kind of like, I think, exposing the villains too much, like showing too much of them, like getting too familiar with their psychology, man. Then if you get too much of that, then they stop being as scary in a lot of cases.
I don't think so, man. I mean, I would have done it more subtly, personally. Like, and what I'm saying is, man, like, you got generic stuff that they revealed more than I would have with it. Like, oh man, they had previous victims and they took off his pants and they're doing this shit. I would have actually revealed less, I think, if they had went if I would have been given the reins, and I would have went darker with it and revealed less actually. It would have been like this is their life and they've kind of like succumbed to it, and this is you know it would have been, yeah, I don't know, man. But yeah, I mean, I might rewatch it at some point. But I'm not saying, I'm not sitting here saying, I dislike. It's a 5 out of 10 for me. It's not as good as I would have liked it to have been. I will say that, of course, but because I was pumped for it, Briggs. I was pumped for that son of a bitch like I was for Mortal Kombat when they tricked me, all them fucking posters, like James Wan's is Mortal Kombat and all the trailers, and I'm like, hell yeah, man. Then I watch it and, I'm like,
God.
oh my god, what the fuck did they do? Like, but yeah, man, so that's A24 for us. And, man, what would you say, Briggs? Overall, A24 overrated? You said underrated, right?
I would not say underrated, not by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I think there are some films that are definitely up there. Two we didn't even mention. I think Midsummer is actually great. The Black Coat's Daughter is, that one does have a really good suspense, a sense of suspense to go along with the
Yeah.
atmosphere. Did you end up watching the rest of the Black
Well,
Coat's Daughter?
that one kind of proves my point. Like, and I can't say whether it was good or not. But I tried to watch the Black Coat's Daughter, and in typical A24 fashion, very, very, very slow, and I fell asleep.
It's got a good payoff. I would consider it has a great twist, I think.
Cool. Yeah, well, man, I'm going with overrated. But I do appreciate them. Like, the world is better with A24. What I've seen, people go crazy over the shit. They're you know too pretentious in some degrees, and you know, but man, a lot of their stuff is just you know slow,
I would
slow as fuck, and
I would really certainly say overrated myself. I was about to get at, like, I think they have some gems, but not
yeah,
everything that they put out is gold. It's got
no,
flaws, and they've got a lot of them have shortcomings that I think people they don't really pay mind to. Like, they think the positives about an A24 film, like, just basically makes it 10 out of 10.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. Like they choose what did you say? Atmosphere over suspense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
atmosphere, good filmmaking, good acting.
yeah,
Like, that's not all you need for a horror film. Like, I think there's a popular sentiment, like, and you can see this all the time, going back to Dread It,
yeah,
that a horror film doesn't have to be scary. And like obviously like fear is subjective, different things scare different people.
yeah,
But I think if a horror film doesn't even like aim to like put you on edge or creep you out and sustain that through the course of the film, and it's basically like a comedy that has like maybe one good joke in it, an action film that has one really good chase scene. Um, Horror without scares is it's got no staying power.
yeah, man. Yeah. So so yes, the general consensus is overrated. And man, and that I've seen. Well, the Green Room is arguable, but I also watched Spring Breakers, and that's not horror. But man, once again, just it's that movie suffered from a lot of what we've discussed here tonight, man. It's like they want this atmosphere and it's fucking weird for the sake of being weird, and what does that lend to the film? What does it lend to the story you're trying to tell me? I mean,
And
it can, but it's like it becomes more of a detriment, to their way of storytelling, and it's, so yeah, man, I'm going with A24 is overrated. I do appreciate what they do. I like that they're trying to make original movies. I like they're not doing remakes and sequels all over the damn place. It'll be interesting to see how they respond when they inevitably have a smash hit one day. Will they go full Blumhouse with it and be like, fuck it, man, we're having Hereditary 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Hereditary, the original sin. And, it'll be interesting to see if they totally sell out or what have. But until then, man, let them have at it. It'll be interesting to see how they grow and if they can kind of overcome being so damn pretentious, Briggs. What the hell, man?
they need to have a plot like Hereditary. Um they need to have suspense like X, and I think they need to keep staying to the same standard of cinematography they always do, and they could be the best horror studio out there, man. But I think it all depends on like balancing the best elements instead of just sticking to what they've already seen success with.
Yeah, man. Yep. They have some growing to do, for sure. But folks, we are over the hour mark. We're going to start winding down because I am still going to shoot a video for the big TH tonight.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and get some work done. So, Jordan Graham, man, I see you in here. Glad you could make it in, brother, man. Billy Judd, Dragon Blues, JK, all of y'all for sticking in till the end. I highly appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Thank y'all for being a part of the horror fam.
Thank you, Blues. Yes, horror needs to be scary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the bottom line, man. Because Stone Cold said so, baby. You know what I'm saying,
You're
Briggs.
Stone Cold, though.
Damn right I am. But hey, DOD still in here. Love you, DOD. Thank you for coming in. Good night, JK. We're going to sign off for now, my friends, but keep an eye out. Hopefully, a video coming up later tonight. So hoot hoot, night owls. But until next time, Briggsy, look horror.
Listen, horror.
Ooh, talk horror. Yeah. I love it, Briggs. I love